In a heart-wrenching turn of events, the remains of Anna Apatchenko, a student at Tomsk State University who vanished on May 3, 2013, were discovered by volunteers after a month-long search. Shockingly, her boyfriend confessed to the brutal crime, admitting he struck Anna with a screwdriver during an argument and then strangled her. In a gruesome attempt to conceal the murder, he dismembered her body, scattering the parts in plastic bags across the city and throwing her head into a river. The tragic case has left the community reeling, mourning the loss of a young life cut short by senseless violence. In the spring of 2013, the quiet Siberian city of Tomsk was rocked by a gruesome crime that left the community in shock and disbelief. 19-year-old Anna Apatchenko, a diligent first-year student with a bright future ahead, vanished without a trace on May 3rd. Little did her loved ones know, this was only the beginning of a heart-wrenching ordeal that would forever change their lives. A frantic search begins. As days turned into weeks with no sign of Anna, her family grew increasingly desperate. Her mother insisted that disappearing was completely out of character for her daughter, a sentiment echoed by all who knew her. The police launched an investigation, and volunteers from all walks of life joined the search efforts. Among them was Anna's boyfriend, Nikolai Kovalovich, who claimed to be the last person to see her before she went missing. A shocking revelation. 10 days into the search, investigators zeroed in on Nikolai as their prime suspect. Curiously, he had stopped participating in the search and vanished himself. After a 5-day manhunt, Nikolai emerged from hiding in the woods and was promptly arrested by the police. What followed was a confession that left even seasoned investigators reeling. A lover's quarrel turns deadly. Nikolai admitted that on the day of her disappearance, Anna had been at his apartment. What started as a quiet evening together quickly devolved into a heated argument. In a fit of rage, Nikolai shoved Anna, causing her to fall and hit her head on the corner of a table. When he realized she had no pulse, panic set in. Fearing the consequences of calling the police, Nikolai made a chilling decision. Unspeakable acts. In a desperate attempt to cover up the crime, Nikolai dismembered Anna's body, stuffed the remains into bags, and scattered them across various parts of the city. Thus began a month-long search for Anna's remains, with hundreds of volunteers, law enforcement, and even psychics from as far as Moscow joining the effort. Pieces of the puzzle. In early June, a volunteer made a grim discovery near a bridge on the Stepanovka River. A bag containing Anna's severed head. Nikolai had confessed to disposing of her remains in dumpsters and the river. But as the investigation progressed, his story began to change. He claimed to have beaten Anna with a screwdriver and strangled her, only to later recant those details. Justice for Anna. As more evidence came to light, including the discovery of Anna's personal belongings and a blood-stained knife, the case against Nikolai grew stronger. Psychiatric evaluations found him mentally fit to stand trial, and on March 28, 2014, court proceedings began behind closed doors at the request of the defendant. The heartbreaking story of Anna Apatchenko serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the depths of human cruelty. While her loved ones may never fully recover from their loss, they can take solace in knowing that justice will be served, and Anna's memory will live on in the hearts of all who knew and loved her. The courtroom fell silent as Alexandra Apatchenko's lawyer presented evidence of her nervous disorder, developed after learning about her daughter's brutal murder. Witnesses, including Anna Apatchenko's mother, Nikolai Kovalevich's mother, and her partner, took the stand. The prosecutor read statements from absent witnesses. Alexandra Apatchenko was the first to testify. She recounted the day her daughter was killed, how Anna didn't answer her phone, and the odd, typo-ridden text message she received later. The search began late on May 3rd. Nikolai claimed he had made up with Anna and put her on a bus around 3 p.m. He called every half hour, his voice eerily calm. At 3 a.m., after visiting the police, Alexandra went to Nikolai's. He hugged her, told her not to cry, that Anna would be found. She noticed his washing machine running, likely cleaning Anna's blood from his clothes. He helped search for Anna, always composed. Later, they found messages with the same typos on Anna's computer. Anna and Nikolai had dated for 3 years, living together for 6 months before a fight turned physical. Anna moved back with her mother. The charge against Nikolai carried a sentence of up to 15 years. Nikolai's grandfather testified that he had brought a bag, claiming it held spoiled meat from his mother's village. He asked to dump it in a nearby swamp. The grandfather refused, telling him to use a dumpster. He found it unremarkable until Anna's disappearance. The meat was gone when he checked later. When asked if he admitted guilt, Nikolai said yes and apologized to Anna's mother. The judge found Nikolai Kovalovich guilty and sentenced him to 10 years in a maximum security prison with 1 year served. The court partially granted the mother's claim for moral damages, awarding 2 million rubles instead of the requested 5 million. Restrictive measures would apply for 18 months after his release. Anna's mother found the sentence too lenient. Exhausted, she was unsure about an appeal. For such a crime, such an article, he will be released in 10 years and live on, while my child cannot be returned, Alexandra said. Nikolai's lawyer, who sought a lighter sentence, disagreed with the verdict and intended to appeal, which was ultimately rejected. Weeks later, the man who brutally dismembered a young woman and discarded her remains in a river walks free. Has a decade behind bars atoned for his heinous crime?